Today, I'm going to be giving you my favorite book from every single month in 2024. These are not all 5 stars. I didn't find a 5-star in every single month. These are very, very highly rated. They're all above 4 stars. I had an amazing reading year this year, guys. I have never read this much in my life. I was a big reader as a kid, but not like this. I think joining the BookTube community really just threw me back into my love for books. And I'm so thankful for that because I am just obsessed with this. And I just want to thank you guys so much for such an amazing 2024. It's been so fun chatting with you guys and talking about books. Thank you for all of you that have watched and subscribed and chatted with me. All right, let's get started. In January, I read 6 books, and my top book in January was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a romantasy heavy on the romance. 2 rivals become war correspondents, and unbeknownst to them, they are writing magical letters to each other back and forth through the war using these magical typewriters. This was really sweet, romantic. I was really interested in the world. I really enjoyed the characters. I definitely plan to reread this in the future. I don't know if it will be in 2025, but definitely within the next 2 years, I'll say. In February, I read 7 books, and my top book was Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I gave this a 5 stars. My first 5 stars of the year. This is also a romantasy. This is the second in the Empyrean series. The second book follows our main character, Violet, and she is on the rebel side of the war. And she's essentially, throughout the whole thing, trying to take down the Basgiath, I think that's how you say it, government, because the higher-ups in their government are corrupt and bad things will happen if they gain too much control. If you don't already know, this has dragons, this has spice, this has romance, fantasy, action, everything that I love in a book. I know a lot of people did not like this one as much as Fourth Wing, but I liked this more. I rated Fourth Wing a 4-star and this one a 5-star. And I think that's because I knew the world already. I knew the characters. I was attached to the characters. And I know a lot of people's problems were with the romance in this. And I have to say that I wasn't reading this for the romance. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, the romance is like fine on the side, but I really just enjoyed the plot and the action in this. That was why I rated it 5 stars, not because of the romance. Next, in March, I read 5 books, and my top book coming in at a 4.75 was The Book Eaters by Sun Yi Dean. No one is surprised by this. This is a dark fairy tale following a race of people that eat books. Book eaters can also give birth to mind eaters, and the book eater world does not want mind eaters out there roaming around. Our main character gives birth to a mind eater, and she's trying to hide him from essentially her government, from taking him away from her. I loved the motherhood in this book. I loved that aspect, obviously, and I loved the atmosphere, and the vibes of this were just so good. So dark and also whimsical. This is definitely on like my higher up list of rereads for 2025 because I cannot wait to annotate this. Next, in April, I read 6 books, and coming in at the top was a book that I'm not going to talk about anymore on my channel. So, second best in April was The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. This came in at a 4.75 for me. This is the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia series, and it is entirely world building. You are following 2 small children as they basically go through a portal and discover multiple different worlds. They actually become a part of the making of Narnia. A book that's entirely world building does not sound pleasant, but I'm telling you right now, guys, this is so fun and so magical and so unique. And that is really what brought it up, was how unique it was. In May, I read 5 books, and my top book in May was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. We're following President Snow in his teenage and young adult years, and essentially just learning how he came to be the person that he was in the Hunger Games series. I thought this was an amazing addition to the trilogy. I sometimes worry that prequels or books that come out much later than the original books will end up not being as good. But let me tell you, Suzanne Collins has not lost her magic, and I cannot wait for Sunrise on the Reaping in 2025. In June, I also read 5 books, and at the very top was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, which came in at a 4.75 stars. We're following Poppy and Alex, who are best friends since college. They go on a vacation once a year together to a new location, and slowly but surely, more and more feelings begin to come in between them. This has past and present timelines, which a lot of times can be hard for me to get into, but for this, I really, really liked that. I loved seeing all of their different vacations, and I loved seeing the progression of their friendship into romance. And I think that's why I love this so much. Friends to lovers is, I think, my favorite romance trope. I just want to see that the characters really know each other on a deep level before any romance comes in. And Alex is my book boyfriend. I want him to be my husband. In July, I read 7 books, and coming in at the top was City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is I guess you would say it's literary fiction because it's very character driven. We're following Vivian as her parents sent her to New York City to live with her eccentric aunt, who runs a kind of rundown playhouse. Like I said, the characters in this are just what keeps the book going. And I think that was the intention of the book. I loved every single character in this book. They live in my heart rent free. This is another one that I am highly anticipating doing a reread in 2025 and definitely annotating. In August, I read 5 books, and my top book for August was Fire by Kristen Cashore. And this came in at a 4 stars for me. August was definitely not my best reading month, I will say. This was the only book that I read in August that even broke a 4 stars. This is the prequel to the Graceling series. It has mostly all completely different characters, and the one character that we see in the Graceling series that's in Fire is not really like a main character in Fire. I don't know what it was, but I just love these characters so much. This fantasy was pretty slow, I will say. It was very mundane, but again, for some reason, these characters had me hooked. I loved them. They have a special place in my heart, and I don't know if they come back in the Graceling series. I hope that they do. But yeah, I really just loved this. And I feel like it was kind of like a strange one to love so much because I did recognize how slow moving the plot was, but I don't know if I just read this at the right time or what, but I just love these characters so much. Next up in September, which was my slowest reading month, I read 4 books, and my top book was Bunny by Mona Awad, coming in at a 4.5 stars. I can't even tell you what genre this is. Satire? Dark academia? Fiction? This is about a girl who gets involved with a group of girls in her college cohort that all call each other Bunny, and they seem to be very culty, and she slowly gets involved in their world, and soon the lines of reality begin to blur. This is very fever dream. I think it would be considered a type of horror. It is just very strange, and again, for uniqueness, this got a higher rating. I've never in my life read a book like this. This was such a wild ride, and even though most of the time I didn't really understand what was happening, I loved it. I actually really liked that feeling of just like not really understanding what was happening and kind of having to make up my own mind about what the book was about. In October, I read 8 books, and my top book was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, coming in at a 5 stars. This is YA fantasy. A 16-year-old girl gets involved with a secret society on her early college program campus. She gets involved with them because she thinks that they might have something to do with her mom's death, or they might hold secrets about her mom's death, and she uncovers that she is a lot more powerful than she ever expected to be. I've said it multiple times, but I'm obsessed with this book. This has so many elements within it, and it's all done just absolutely beautifully. I loved the elements of grief, colonialism, racism, Knights of the Round Table, lineage, all of it. I loved this so much. In November, I read 5 books. Well, let's back it up. I tried to read 5 books, but I actually ended up reading only 3 books and DNF'd 2 books. And coming in at a 5 stars in November, Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. This is the sequel to Legendborn. We are just continuing the story, and it was just as good. Literally cannot wait for Oathbound to come out in March. And last but not least, December. If we're not talking about rereads, because currently I am rereading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and I just already know that's going to probably be above a 4.5 stars for me. But if we're not counting that, I could not decide which 2 of these books to put as my favorite for December. So I'm just going to give you 2 books for December, an extra bonus. And the first one is The Nightingale by Kristen Hannah, and the second is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. We will talk about The Nightingale first. This is a historical fiction. It takes place in World War II in France. Nazis have occupied France. We are following 2 sisters, one sister in the countryside and one sister in Paris. One sister is just trying to make it by. She's trying to raise her daughter and lay low and just survive, where the other sister in Paris is attempting to find any way to rebel against the Nazis, and she ends up joining a group of rebels. We are just following both of them throughout the war. This was absolutely devastating. I read this in my Reading the Highest and Lowest book on my physical TBR vlog, and this seriously just broke me. I loved it so much. I love both of these sisters to my core, and I fully understand where both of them were coming from the whole time. This is a very impactful book. Amazing. And now let's talk about Beartown. Just finished this a couple days ago, and to be honest with you, the first probably 25% of this, I did not understand the hype, and I was concerned that I wasn't going to like it as much as other people have liked it before, because I am definitely not a sports girl, a hockey girl at all. My parents never watched sports growing up. I played soccer, but I was too shy and scared to even really get involved, so that ended very quickly. I've just never been into sports. So I was a little bit worried at the beginning because it was very hockey heavy, and it continues to be hockey heavy, but what picks up a lot is really getting to know all of these characters. Really, this is a book about hockey, but it's mostly a character study, in my opinion. The way that Frederick Bachman writes is amazing. It's very straightforward and easy to read, easy to understand, but it is so beautiful. It's like every chapter is a present wrapped up perfectly neat with a bow. This book displayed the idea of herd mentality amazingly. I really liked watching all of the characters go through their heads and their lives and almost kind of battle with themselves internally about their morality and life and Beartown and hockey. This is such a stunning book, and honestly, I can't wait to pick up more Frederick Bachman in the new year. I think at the beginning of this, I was pretty sure that I was not going to continue this series, but at the end of this, I am fully sure that I want to pick up the rest of the series. And this is a library book. I definitely want to pick this up physically for my shelf. And that's it, guys. Those were my favorite books from every single month in 2024. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was really fun to make and really fun to look back on all of my favorite reads this year. I really want to know what your favorite reads from each month were in the comments, because I just love getting book recommendations from you guys. So yeah, I would love to hear what your favorite books were this year. And I would also love to know if any of you have read these books and what your thoughts on them are. Happy New Year's, guys. I'm hoping that 2025 is going to be my year and a very good year of reading. I hope this year treats you so well also. But until next time, guys, bye.